immediately. But I'm saying, as a whole, it does help the community. And so when they do come out, it's always an amazing thing, and I think it's really kind of cowardly not to come out. A lot of times they'll say, oh, well, my sexual orientation, my sex life is my own business. It's no one else's business but my own, blah, blah, blah. Well, that may be true. However, when you're a celebrity, people, especially if you're an actor or an actress, people like to fantasize about being with you or whatever. I mean, that's just the way it is. I mean, or thinking about what it might be like if they're attracted to you or something. And so I understand a lot of times that's the reason they don't come out, especially if they're actors or actresses. But it is completely, to me, cowardly not to actually come out and just be your fucking self. When I know it's difficult and they could lose money, they could lose parts, whatever. I get that. I really do get that. But it isn't an excuse. And to me, I'm getting really tired of these people not coming out. And there's so many people in the closet still today that are famous people, actors and actresses and singers and public figures that are, you would never know that are gay. You would never in a million years think, because they've set their lives up to conceal that fact from the public. So unfortunately, it is and has been something that's been happening since Hollywood, began. And, they used to have the studios to protect them. And these days they have the press to some degree. But because we have paparazzi, we have the internet, it's much more difficult now to be conceal the fact that you're gay if you are. But anyway, I think she should just come out, be herself, and say fuck you to people who don't like it, which is what I would expect from someone like her. Her personality to me seems like one that would be that way, but who knows. All right, going to take a break, come back, and we're going to talk about the main topics for tonight. We're going to talk about several things, gay-related stuff. So I'll be right back after this.
Sometimes I feel like throwing my hands up in the air. I know I can count on you. Sometimes I feel like saying, Lord, I just don't care. But you've got the love I need to see me through. You lose, just like before, I know I call on you.
All right, so we're back. Thanks for joining me tonight on the show or listening in archives. I appreciate it. So there have been several. There's this one story about a guy who went to the doctor, and this is recent, and went to the doctor, and the doctor had put one of those little codes, on his form when he's going. What is the diagnosis form or whatever? You get like a receipt or something for your insurance company or whatever. Sometimes you get those. I've seen them before. And there's like a number with like 3 digits dot something on there. And his said 320.8 or something like that. And he was curious to see what it meant. So he looked it up when he got home on the computer. And it said that he was suffering from homosexual behavior, from significant overt homosexual behavior. So the guy was like, what the fuck? And so he was amused by it. Then he's like, what the fuck? And so he actually reported it to the office and said, why did you put this on my form? Why, being gay is not a medical condition. And they said, oh, we're sorry. We just, the doctor puts that sometimes if someone's gay, so it lets us know they're gay. And he's like, why do you need to know if I'm gay or not? What does that have to do with my health? And, and so anyway, so the guy was kind of upset about it, and they ended up refunding his copay because of it. But there was a time when gay men specifically, were considered to be deviant and considered to be, it used to be considered an actual disease or syndrome or something that you could be cured, which some people still believe these days. And it hasn't been that way since the 70s, since it was ruled by the Psychological Association of America or whatever, American Psychological Association, whatever it's called, APA, that it was not, it was no longer a condition that was to be considered medical. And a lot of people today still feel that being gay is a choice, still feel being gay is something that's, a medical condition or whatever. And I just wanted to say, I get really tired of hearing that, because it's like, what difference does it make if it were a choice or not? It isn't a choice. I mean, sexual orientation is something that is set before you're even born. It's set in your brain. It is set at before birth, excuse me. And so it has to do with hormones. It has to do with testosterone and estrogen. It has to do with stress levels in your mother. It has to do with a lot of shit. There's a lot of things that determine, genetics, obviously, what your sexual orientation is going to be. And none of them involve choice, unless we want to blame an infant for the choice they make in the womb, which they don't make because they never make the choice in the first place. But let's just for a second say that it were a choice to be gay. Why would that make being gay any less deserving of civil liberties and civil rights? Why would that make being gay any more different than being anything else? I mean, it doesn't matter if someone is gay by choice or by birth, because you're still going to deny people their rights simply because you don't believe in it. So it really has nothing to do with that, whether it's born into you or not. And I get really tired of hearing people say that like it makes a difference. So, people will often defend being gay and say, well, it's not a choice. It's not a choice. And so I understand what they're saying to people, especially people who are bigots or based upon religious beliefs or whatever. It's not going to change somebody's mind who thinks that way anyway, whether it's a choice or not. I remember when I was in college, we had a rabbi, we had a Christian priest. We had a rabbi, a Catholic priest, and a Protestant priest. And all three of them were there. And they came to the Gay and Lesbian Center at SMU when I was a freshman. And I was part of the group. And there's about 50 of us in it. And we were listening to these three people talk. And these three about homosexuality. And, of course, the Catholic guy said homosexuality is a sin, says it in the Bible. The Protestant guy said the same thing, and then there was the other one, the Jewish person, who said the same thing. So, not that was in the Bible, but that it was frowned upon or whatever in the Jewish religion. So, I raised my hand and I asked them all. I said, "What would you do if it came out tomorrow that it was irrefutable evidence that being gay is not a choice that someone makes, or that sexual orientation for anyone, gay, straight, whatever, is not a choice at all, but it is set before you're born." This is something I asked. I was 19. I asked this question, and I said, because I would be curious to know how that would change your philosophy or your belief system, because your belief system is based upon the Bible or the Talmud or the Quran, or not the Quran, the Talmud or the Torah or whatever you believe in. So how would that really change your belief system? Would you then not believe anything else the Bible tells you, or would you take that as face value? And how would that change what you think about homosexuals? And they said, well, then I guess we would have to, what did he say? He said, I guess then we would just have to work on making gay people straight. I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Seriously? So it's irrefutable that being gay is a choice, not a choice, I mean, and you're still going to say that you still want to make gay people like everybody else. And he's like, yeah, because that's the Bible says it's wrong to be gay, whether it's born that way or not. So I said, okay, so is it wrong to have blue eyes? Well, no. Is it wrong to have, blonde hair or dark hair or brown skin or pale skin? Is it wrong to have to be tall or short? Is it wrong for any of these things? No, because those are not choices. I said, exactly. Those are not choices. What's a choice about it? And it's been proven that it's not a choice. So how is it you're allowing these things to pass by you? Why is being blue-eyed not evil? And why is being gay considered evil, even though they're both not choices? So he sat there for a minute and thought about it and just kind of scratched his head a little bit and was like, well, I don't know. I'd have to think about it more or not to really research it, whatever. So no matter what I gave him, whatever kind of sort of proof I gave him, he still was all about, defending his belief system, which is based on nonsense, which is based on what human beings believed, almost 3,000 years ago. So, it's really not 2,000 years ago. It's not about anything other than that. So it doesn't matter if you present people who don't believe in being gay or whatever with the fact it is a choice or it's not a choice. It doesn't matter to them. Ultimately, if they're bigoted, they're bigoted. It doesn't matter to them if it's a choice for you or if it's just who you are. All that matters is that they don't like gay people. They don't like people who are different than they are for one reason or the other. And a lot of times people who are homophobic are also racist or misogynist or, anti-Semitic or whatever the case may be. So, people who are one thing typically are another when it comes to these bigoted type views. So anyway, I just wanted to say that I think that saying that all the time is really annoying. And that's why I get annoyed when I hear people say it. It's not a choice. It's not a choice. It doesn't fucking matter if it's a choice because it really isn't an argument. The argument should be that I am what I am for whatever reason. And I have the right to live my life the way that I want to live it as long as I'm not harming someone else. I have the right to be who and what I am, regardless of what you think, because it isn't your decision to decide for me who I'm supposed to be or what life I'm supposed to lead. It isn't your decision to pass judgment upon me because it's different than what you are. So these are the things that make a good argument, in my opinion. And I really, so I think if you remember that in the future, and it changes the conversation from whether it's a choice or not. A lot of times when you get mired down in that, and you're discussing this with someone who's against homosexuals, that's the discussion turns to that. Instead of talking about what's right for civil liberties, from a civil liberties standpoint, you turn to talking about whether it's a choice or not. And somehow that remains the question that somehow validates whether it is or isn't okay. And so not getting mired down in that allows you to really focus on what's really important, which is equality under the law. And whether it's about gay marriage or protection under the law for employment or for being, harassed or whatever, the same benefits, everything, the same benefits and responsibilities everybody else gets, heterosexuals get, gay people want, whether it's marriage or something else. So it's a pretty simple proposition. Hopefully it makes sense to you. Okay, going to take a break, come back, and I'm going to talk about some other issues. Be right back.